Welcome to Astrology Talk. I'm here with my dear friend, Sally Kirkman from sallykirkman.com. And I'm Christina Rodenbeck from the Oxford Astrologer. And we're going to talk to you about the astrology of the month ahead. The month of Pisces, the Pisces month, starting on, it's the 20th of February this year, isn't it?
18th.
18th. I get that wrong every time. 20th goes to the 20th of March, right? It's 18th of Feb, 20th of March.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the month of Pisces. But first, we're going to look back at the previous month and maybe talk about Pisces a bit. And Sally, this is our penultimate podcast. Because
I know.
We've been doing this for many years now, and we kind of want to do new stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a major time of endings and beginnings, which we've been rattling on about since last year, and, and really kind of pivotal now. So, and I think many people are thinking about what they're bringing to a close and what they want to start afresh. So, yeah, Christina and I have made the decision to stop Astrology Talk podcast. So we'll be doing one more next month in March for you. And after 8 years. So, yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, isn't it?
Well, it's we get to see each other once a month or whatever anyway. So we'll do that without the hassle of having to do all the media stuff that is part of doing a podcast, right? So we will still have our chats.
Yeah.
And that, so I'm sad that we're going to have to end it, but it's been, I think it's time.
I think it's time. It's been 8 years, which is it's an octave, isn't it? 8 years, it's an octave. So it's the ending of that period. And how lovely that we met, really. And when the podcast started almost, I think we kind of met, got on and thought, let's do a podcast. And, here we are. Here we are 8 years later.
We made friends over the podcast.
Yeah, we have.
We made friends with you too. So you'll be able to follow Sally at sallykirkman.com still. She does her newsletter every month. And you'll be able to follow me at the Oxford Astrologer. And I also do a newsletter. You do a weekly newsletter, actually.
I do the weekly. Yeah, my weekly one is my subscription. So yeah.
Sally does a weekly one. I do a monthly one. And we both do other stuff as well.
Yeah, we both offer readings, don't we? Which is, for us, a really key part of astrology.
Yeah, it's how astrology remains a living practice, is because of the co-creation with our clients, with the people who come see us. And without you coming to see us and talking through the astrology, then astrology would wilt. It would die, it would crumple up. So what keeps our astrology lively is the fact that we also love to work with other people and discuss your charts.
Yeah.
That's also why we have what we have in common. So many astrologers don't actually do readings.
No.
They don't really know how, they don't sit down with a client and do a reading. And that's something that both Sally and I do.
It's where the magic happens, and it's lovely to be able to, it's a skill to help and be of service to others as well. So yes, we're not going away in that respect.
Just for FYI, everybody, we have just had, or just to remind you, Saturn and Neptune have just got to 0 degrees of Aries. It's time for new beginnings. And which means it's also time for endings. And also, just at the end of April, Uranus, which is associated with broadcasting, I would say, moves into Gemini. It's going to be doing a different thing. It's been in Taurus for 7 years, build. And now we take off into a new world. And so you were saying something interesting before we started recording about Neptune in Pisces versus Neptune in Aries.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a huge shift, isn't it? It's going to be a huge shift in different ways, I think. I mean, it's, always when you get these transitional periods in the year, you start looking at what's been going on. I mean, Neptune's been in Pisces since 2011, 2012. And we have kind of been touching on this and what it's going to shift and change. I mean, it's been in Pisces, which is one of the media signs. Pisces can be fantasy. It can be where you lose yourself. And moving into Aries, it's bringing something so new and vibrant and real. And I'm just really interested as well with the younger generation who seem to really want to be meeting up in person more. I mean, that's one thing that you see. They really want physical connection. And that feels very Aries. Aries wants to, it's about the physical body quite often. It's about physical presence, Aries. So, we can see, I think there's going to be a real shift in people moving away from things where they lose themselves. Social media, medications, the things that anesthetize you. Maybe we'll all go teetotal. Well, again, younger generation, they don't drink as much as we used to when we were younger. So, you're seeing these, it's like, what's it going to bring? What's it going to bring? There's going to be some good stuff coming from it moving forward, don't you think, Christina?
Yeah, I really agree with you about the Neptune in Pisces. I've always obviously enjoyed it as a sort of massive Pisces person. With my main planets are, Pisces. Well, not all of my main ones, but I'm Pisces with trines from Neptune to all of my Pisces planets.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's been delightful. I love to lose myself, but I think the smartphone is a Neptune and Pisces thing. This whole the doom scrolling is we're in this doom thing at the moment, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yes, I mean, I think that is all was so zeitgeisty. This whole idea of losing yourself, losing your identity, and there's nothing, and the difference between Pisces and Aries is just a massive leap, right? So you're completely, Pisces, the end of the zodiac, you're completely diffused in Pisces. It's ungraspable. It's wide. Aries is one-pointed, and you're right about the body. It's to do with the body, to do with being real. So for everyone listening to this, I would urge you to be starting something new. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a new tiny step, like you're going to go for a walk every day, whatever it is, do something new that's in real life, that's not like a new channel or a new anything like that. Do something new. Start weightlifting, whatever it is. And I think that the whole landscape of the internet is going to be changing as well.
Yeah, I think so too, with all that's happening with the modern planets working together. I do want to add, though, that, because we talk about losing ourselves, there's places you can lose yourself that are fantastic. There's, for me, this Neptune in Pisces era has also been about my spiritual path, my meditation practice. And, obviously Neptune rules art and creativity. It's linked to music and poetry and where we find beauty in the world. So, if you've found those things while Neptune's in Pisces, please continue and take those forwards. You don't have to stop doing those. They may, maybe there's a new form or a new way they're going to be developed moving forward. But yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, just because you're stopping things, it's stopping the things that aren't helping, or that are sapping you, or that are actually literally really bad for you. So if you have an addiction, okay, whatever it happens to be.
Yes, Neptune.
You could stop it, right? Neptune, Saturn conjunction. It's like, stop the addiction.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's doom scrolling, hello, me. Or me and Margaret Atwood. Did you? She said, I think the Wired interviewed her, and the woman at Wired said, well, you doom scroll? She said, yeah, I have to keep up with the doom.
Yeah. Oh, it pulls you in, doesn't it? I mean, it pulls you in. It's kind of, and then you just lose yourself down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I mean, it
that
really is
self,
extraordinary.
the self loss, or the loss of time, is what happens on the doom scrolling, and that is Saturnian, isn't it?
Mm,
Time Saturn, time belongs to Saturn. And
yeah.
there may be, like, we may have it quite intensely, that losing oneself because of the conjunction, but then
Mm,
Saturn is going to move on, right?
mm,
And
mm.
so, do we want to talk about those files? Because are we going to retrodict a little bit, look back at the month that we've just
Go
been?
on, you've been doom scrolling in them. I know you have, haven't you?
Well, for me, it's just this has always been central. Is that what is the Epstein
Yeah.
thing, to an explanation of what has been going on in the world? And I didn't really. I mean, I have to say, I am shocked.
Mm,
I didn't think. I thought that um, I didn't think that I was unshockable, because I am shockable, but I am the depth of depravity,
mm.
the depth, the width of connection, in
Yeah.
terms of connections across the globe,
Yeah.
and the bizarreness, the strangeness of it is something that's another turn of the wheel for me. Um,
Mm,
and also, because now we're all completely paranoid. It's okay. So why has this been released now? What's that about? And I do think that this is a massive turning point, not
mm,
just for the United States, which of course it is, but also for the whole world to
mm.
have this network revealed,
Yeah.
in all its, trashiness.
Yeah. Corrupt, vile, abuse of power. Also, I think on some level, I think it is a major, major shift. It feels to me like it's the start of the fall of the patriarchy.
Completely.
Powerful men, all they seem to be interested in is money, abuse, power, greed, war, all of it going together, really, quite vile. And really an abuse of women in that,
Yeah. I
So I mean, but what's the retribution? I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? It's all come out at this point in time, which feels really powerful time for it to all be opening up. But I just want to go, now what?
Yeah.
Because you can just sense that, things are they going to be moved forward? Is there going to be retribution? Are people going to be accused?
There will be justice.
Good.
And there will
Thanks, Chris. Well, that's fine. Good.
and there will be and also, I'm not
Mm,
sure how the justice is going to work out, because the other thing that's very clear is that the whole system is corrupt. you know
mm,
that that, as a lot of Americans have been saying, well, why is it that in the United Kingdom, or in Norway, or whatever, these investigations immediately were launched, or in
mm.
France, and people were rioting, I think, in India, when I can't remember who it is. Is it Ambani? Someone is in those,
Yeah, on the list.
um, you know, across the globe.
Yeah.
It's had an effect, and that disgusting Emirati person has resigned. He's lost his job. So there's repercussions
Repercussions, aren't there?
are coming already. But what we want is justice for the victims, and the victims. First of all, there's the incredible group of the victims of sexual abuse. But also, it's important for people to understand, I think, that the victims in some ways are everyone, because these people have been manipulating the
Mm,
politics and the finances
mm.
of countries across the world.
Yeah.
This is a massive people trafficking. Um, there have been people trafficking, as among other things, people
Mm,
trafficking, money laundering, um, messing with the stock market. I mean, look at messing with politics. I was very fascinated to see how much that man and the other man, well, okay, Epstein and Mandelson, who is the British guy, hated Gordon Brown.
Mm,
They really wanted to get rid of him, who was the prime minister at the time and had guided us through this financial crisis.
mm,
How much they hated Pope Francis as well, Bannon and Epstein hated not yeah, Pope Francis. That's the one they really had it in for, right? So, if they hate someone a lot like that, then they're probably a good guy or a woman.
yeah, yeah.
But all these people, I mean, it's incredible that there have been no arrests.
It is, but let's see what happens moving forward. I mean, to me as well, there's the symbolism. It's like the veil of illusion. What
Yeah,
we've been, the lies. It's also Neptunian, Pisces, isn't it? And Pisces is also victims as well. It's who's been sacrificed, who's been sacrificed. So this major shift that's going on is really clearing things up and getting us to see the reality of it again. It's kind of making it real, isn't it? It's making it real. Yeah, and now what moving forward? I mean, these, the eclipses, we're talking on the solar eclipse actually, which was right at the end of Aquarius, and there's going to be another one that we'll talk about. If you look at the sort of key characters, these eclipses are really powerful for them. I mean, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, not giving him a royal title anymore. His birthday is 19th of February, 0 Pisces. So, the solar eclipse is right on it. And these eclipses, also Keir Starmer, the eclipse in the 3rd of March, again, very close to his sun, Virgo. So, it's interesting to see what these eclipses are going to do as well.
Yeah, and you can see that Andrew is the perfect. If you're one of the cabal, who are you going to sacrifice out of your cabal?
Yeah.
Dumb royal, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because he'll take some of the heat.
Mm.
And I think this is the thing that people are thinking is, okay, so this has been revealed. Who else is there? Where's the money really come from?
Mm.
And that's the thing, the level that's, the thing I found very shocking is obviously the depravity. That is so beyond imagining, really. The eugenics, and the depravity and the cruelty and the viciousness of those men. I completely agree. This is the end of the patriarchy. Goodbye. You guys have had thousands of years of this, and look what you've done. It may take a long time to unfurl, folks. So when we say it's the end of the patriarchy, we don't mean that we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's all going to be done. But it may take 60 years, it may take 100 years, but this is the end. This marks the end. When history books are written, this is going to be a cutoff. And to the extent that actually I've been listening to British parliamentarians, female parliamentarians saying we need a feminist reset of Westminster. And that language to actually just openly say we need a feminist reset. We need caring to be at the center of what we do. We need to be, caring, security, this is what needs to be at the center of, that's what government's for. Yeah. Not waging war and, extracting from people, and the sort of extractionist thing of these people is just incredible. The evil has been. We all knew that Epstein was evil, and Ghislaine Maxwell was evil. They look, they exude a kind of horrible hound dog evil. But I don't think we kind of understood until these files came out the depth of the evil.
Yeah. It is a real reset moment. I mean, it's the Saturn Neptune, all this, it's all been happening under that, hasn't it? It's on the 20th, but I mean, it's not just about the date, the specific date. I think it's really interesting that this is also now happening during eclipse season, which often sees the rise and fall of leaders. It's perfect timing in a way, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, just really, we're living in extraordinary times, pivotal times. But I have to say, I feel on a personal level incredibly energized.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking on the solar eclipse. This is very last minute. It'll be uploaded this afternoon. But we're talking on that solar eclipse, and it's in Chinese New Year, it's the fire horse, and I started the day doing yoga, and I can just feel energy rising, which is lovely, because there was times over the last month where I felt quite flat, but I feel really energized and empowered at the moment moving forward. So that's a really nice way, or a effective way the energy is playing out.
Well, the Saturn in the last degree of Pisces was bringing up all the shit,
Yeah.
like a plumber. And now, on the 14th of February, Saturn changed signs, and is it now making the conjunction to Neptune? And Aries is a very angry sign sometimes when it's allowed to unleash, and I think that people are furious.
Yeah.
I think that the rage, the righteous rage of people is going to be. At first, it was diffused as like this Neptune thing. It's like, whoa, people are kind of shocked and angry about what's been revealed. And now with Saturn coming in, it's like, right, there's going to be justice. We're going to have to make some practical steps.
Yeah, and Saturn is about rules and regulations,
Absolutely.
isn't it? It's creating order out of chaos.
And Neptune is the kind of chaos.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's like, okay, we're going to contain this swamp, right? How are we going to contain the swamp? And I feel that it's anyone's guess how exactly this is going to play out, but things are going to be happening very rapidly, even over the month ahead, as we're the one that we're speaking about.
Yeah, it's an interesting month in that respect, because we're still the inner planets now moving through Pisces, aren't they? And it's really, the turning point does come on that equinox on March the 20th, when the sun moves into Aries. But and we've got Mercury retrograde in Pisces coming up as well. So yeah, this month is about, things aren't going to completely emerge, I think, until we get to the equinox.
But I do think that, should we move it? I mean, I think that this Mercury in Pisces is basically going back over all the shit that they released, right? They thought but they did. These people are organized. They're more, and this is the level of organization. They released these files in Steve Bannon calls it flooding the zone, right? It's flooding the zone with shit. So they've done that. But what they haven't taken, and also, by the way, I just like to say that that Epstein had a zodiac on the ceiling of that temple on his island. They clearly have been using astrological timing for some of their stuff, which really, really upsets me. That's obvious. I mean, I've thought that for a while with certain of these people, that because of the timing of things that they do, that there's some astrological timing going on. They've been using astrological timing, but not every astrologer is right about everything, right? So, okay, flood the zone with shit, as Saturn is in the last degree of Pisces, but don't forget that Mercury and all the other planets are coming along afterwards and having a very good look. Yeah. So right over the next month, there will be more dissection, more analysis of exactly what happened where. And this is only a tiny percentage of the files, but actually it's probably enough to start going after these people. And the way that they're gone after may not be through the courts, right? This is also something that has to be, that it may be in different ways.
Yeah, it may be that losing their power and influence in some way,
losing cover.
Yeah.
Well.
They can't hide anymore. And that's going to, change things. But it would be nice if there was proper justice done.
Maybe not immediately, but with justice down the line. I'm very looking forward from that point of view. I mean, at the moment, Jupiter is the planet of justice, and Jupiter is Cancer, and so it's all about caring and looking after these people who've been hurt.
Yeah.
And opening up to that, and also opening up our hearts to victims, the survivors, and listening. That's very Jupiter in Cancer. But then Jupiter goes into Leo.
It does at the end of June, but right now it's working really strongly because as all the inner planets move through Pisces, they're making a lovely trine aspect to Jupiter in Cancer. So this justice theme is very prevalent over the month ahead. And the Mercury Retrograde, February 26th to March 20th, again, a big kind of, key feature of this month ahead. And that's so great for diving beneath the surface to bring what's hidden out, isn't it?
Isn't it great that all these people have been working on the files, that people are reading them, that actually, because of the nature of our society now, when those things are published, they're really published, people can unredact them, because of the millions of people reading them.
Yeah, and that's, I suppose that's again this what a part of Neptune in Pisces, isn't it? It's like it's flooding the media. It's news can travel around the globe, around the world.
Yeah.
It's very, it's been at our fingertips as well, hasn't it? I mean, it's been, if there's big news around the world, you can find it so fast. Someone will put something on social media, you just find these things out, which is so new, isn't it? That never used to happen in the past as well.
Well, and someone else would. I mean, it's interesting that, speaking of flooding the zone with shit, that Pam Bondi, the what is she? The Attorney General.
Attorney General, yeah.
They've printed a list of all the people mentioned in the Epstein Files, right? They've included everyone, right? So there's no this person was. So anyone who's vaguely mentioned, including dead people like Janis Joplin, the singer who died in 1972 or something, that she's in the list. She's in the list of people mentioned. That's to confuse people, but I think people are much less confused. Like I said, I think Pope Francis is in the list, because he's mentioned. Well, he's mentioned because they hate him. I'm not sure why Janis Joplin is mentioned, but that's another attempt to confuse us with too much information.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no discernment, is there? There's no discernment.
Well, there is discernment from people reading it. They're not stupid. They're not going to just say, "Oh yeah, Pope Francis was mentioned. That must mean that he's bad," which might have worked before, but the things have changed, right? And I think one of the things that they've lost now is the support of those people who were going on, the conspiracy people who were going on and on about Pizzagate and were directed in the wrong direction around this because they're big Trump supporters. Well, Trump is in those files over and over and over and over again. That is going to come back to not come back. That's partly what this Mercury retrograde is going to be about. More and more evidence.
Yeah. And can I say, just as a kind of, because I found, also I think over the last month, I've found the news, I've just had to switch off a lot. You can only do so much pain and sorrow. But a real antidote to this, which also for me has been this Saturn in Pisces in particular, as it was moving to Pisces, was the monks. In America, the Walk for Peace. They set off in October and they completed their journey just before Saturn moved into Aries, and they've been walking in all weathers with Aloka, the peace dog. And I thought, God, that's so, Saturn at the end, it's like there's all this sort of scandal out there and horrors, and scandal is Pisces. But, these monks have just been tuning into this side of Saturn, that's Saturn in Pisces, that's, the spiritual aspect of it. And that ability of Saturn to just keep going, keep walking, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you'll get there, which is a really kind of positive showing of Saturn. And I've just loved that there's all this kind of shit going on, and there's these monks just sort of steady and quiet and peace, and it's just been such a lovely antidote. And just to say with that as well, this is a good way of this Saturn Neptune. Neptune's your dreams and your vision. And Saturn is saying, okay, if you've got those dreams and vision, now what are you going to do day in, day out to make them happen? It's another kind of showing of how it could be used on a personal level moving forward as well.
Yeah, and so I love that, because Saturn in Pisces is a priest.
Yeah, it is.
A monk. That's actually how one might visualize that particular placement. And I think that combining with Neptune now, so Saturn in Pisces now comes into they had timed it so that it was finishing off this long cycle. So, Saturn takes 28 years or so to go through the zodiac. So this is the end of that chapter. And the beginning of the new one. So that walk was a completion. It's also about prayer. And so is Neptune. This is about praying, and not always about not the kind of prayer where you're saying, please manifest a Mercedes for me, right? But simple prayer, which is connecting to the one, the great, the numinous, making that connection from that heart connection to however you see, whether you're a Christian or whatever, a Muslim, a Jain, but making that connection to the unseen.
Yeah.
And we hope that connection is a good one. I have to say that Saturn can sometimes be Satan, it can be the devil, but when it's manifesting well, when it's behaving well, then it's this priestly prayer. It's like the Hermit card in tarot.
Yeah. And that is, there's also with astrology, we learn this, don't we? That trying to use astrology to benefit your own life, but the lives of others as well. It's kind of works both ways, and not kind of falling, Saturn and Neptune together. And this is the other thing I think to be careful of at the moment, that, they can really be about fear and paranoia as well, the flip side, and not allowing yourself to fall into that and finding a way, out of that, whether that is kind of by being in nature or by connection or whatever. So it is about using the astrology to good effect as well.
And understanding that Saturn can be fear and Neptune can magnify or diffuse. So there is a massive fear that has been sent out into the world. As people understand that there are hostile forces within our own societies that are working against us and our children. The attack on children, on women and children, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but the attack on women and children has been severe. We've seen these, and it's been, in these wars that have been going on, Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan in particular, all those three across that swathe of the world, like it's almost like a line, have actually people, maybe the bad guys thought that we would become numb to the horrors, but that has not been the case. It's just become part of us.
And also when you're talking, it makes me think of, the media has a big part of the media at the moment is to promote fear, isn't it? It's to make people fearful. I think I would argue that it always has been. There's a news story by definition is almost always bad news. Yeah, and that, I was watching the monks walking. I never saw that in the media. I only found it on social media, and then I started telling people about it, and people didn't know about it because, why is the media going to promote that? Good news, something lovely.
Nice things happening. Ooh, what's that? But media, by definition, news is bad news, and that's been the case forever. Well, not forever, but since news was a thing. What is that? It is a form of social control, isn't it? You keep the population frightened or looking the wrong way.
Yeah.
About who to be scared of. Who's controlling things, who you should be wary of. And I think this is one of the things that will change in the future, is that I think people will take a lot more care, at least for a while, of where, of when they launch their children into the world, and of what people's motivations really are.
And that Jupiter in Cancer is really kind of, it's interesting as well, isn't it? That we've had Jupiter in Cancer from June 2025. It'll be here till the end of June 2026. And Jupiter in Cancer is the home and family sign. It's about the children. It's about the mothers as well. And it's a protective influence at its best. It's like taking care of the ones you love. And it's going to be turning direct as well this month on March the 11th.
Yeah, that's part of this month. So we've got the Mercury retrograde. We've got all these planets moving into Pisces. So following in the footsteps of Saturn, right? Following in those monks' footsteps.
Yeah.
And clearing the shit that's making sense of it. Because also a lot of these planets, especially Mercury, is about making sense of things. Figuring out what's been going on. Journalists are going to be, and Mercury is the journalist's planet, right? Investigating, seeing what's uncovering, turning over the stones. And this is all going to happen incredibly rapidly. Everything's happening very, very fast this year because it's, well, for lots of reasons, but among others is the year of the fire horse. That's a fast year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another incredible month. And it's not, I mean, the other thing, having said that astrological timing is used by the baddies, they don't get it right all the time.
No, they don't get it right. Well, and I think you're using it for bad purposes, bad reasons. It's an art. It's a divination. Don't do that. And it will, and hubris, and I think this is also themed. Should we put up the eclipse chart? Because
please go. We should start. I mean, we're talking about the month ahead already, so let's talk.
We're in it.
Imminent, because as Sally was saying, today's the day of the eclipse. It's coming in a couple of hours now.
Yeah, we're on the 17th of February. We're recording this.
And yeah, so, but we're going to have another eclipse on the 3rd of, do you want to look at the 17th of February one, or do you want to look at the 3rd of?
Well, we did that one last month. So it's kind of, we've got this weird thing at the moment, haven't we? They're kind of right at the end. The eclipse was right at the end of Aquarius season. It was 28 Aquarius and the start of a new cycle. So maybe if you want to listen to that one, go back to last month's podcast and have a listen, because we talked about it then. But we've got this one coming up on the 3rd of March, which is cutting across the Virgo Pisces axis. And it's a bit of a sister eclipse to the one that happened on September the 7th, 2025. They're falling at similar degrees. So in this one, it's kind of 12, 13 degrees Virgo Pisces. And the one last September was 15 degrees. So it's, if you've got planets angles there, this eclipse is shining a light on it. And it's an interesting eclipse, isn't it, this one? For different reasons. I mean, we've got the Mercury retrograde, and both eclipses and Mercury retrograde have these hidden themes. What's hidden? And I would say as well, if you are in a situation where you are feeling a bit lost or confused, or you don't know what direction to take, then probably lean into that. Allow yourself to be in a situation of not knowing. The turning points come thick and fast right at the end of Pisces season, when there's a new moon in Pisces and Mercury turns direct in Pisces just before the equinox, March 19th, 20th. So yeah, I would say that's for me. Allow yourself to kind of explore. And if you don't know something, then just lean into that rather than searching and having to grab the answers.
I would say, do search though, do look, do investigate, have a look under the rocks, find stuff out. That's what Mercury retrograde is kind of for, is to rethink, relook, have a, seek things out. It doesn't mean that you necessarily act, but you find stuff out. And actually, one of this is such an interesting eclipse. Is first of all, it's total lunar eclipse, so it's going to be visible in a lot of the world. So it's like basically across the Pacific, but that means that you can see it from in the States and also in Japan. It's across like that. So it's much more visible than the one on the 17th of February. And this is makes things different, when it's being seen by a lot of people. So I think there may be consequences with this eclipse. Things may happen. Although it's a lunar eclipse, so traditionally we sort of think of that as more emotional, more inward, more, yeah. I mean, I have to say that I find lunar eclipses can sometimes just bring emotions out. And what's really interesting about this one, well, there are lots of interesting aspects to it, but I find it fascinating that on that day, Mars is going into, or just maybe the day before, depending on where, Mars goes into Pisces. It's coming up, it's closing in on the eclipse. Mercury retrograde is closing in on the eclipse. So it's in a Mars and Mercury coming towards each other. And between them is the eclipse point. Or because eclipse is the moon will eclipse in Virgo, but all the planets are actually in Pisces. So the eclipse point goes across the sky, so to speak. Those two are closing in on each other. There's going to be the war of words, the war of images in particular, is going to reach a kind of peak in March. There's going to be a war of slander and scandal. This scandal that we're in the midst of as we're speaking now isn't going away, right? It's actually, there may be a peak in March. There may be a peak around this eclipse.
Yeah.
Right? And people are going to be gone because of this, because as we've probably mentioned many times before, eclipses sometimes mean leaders go. And there will be people resigning or being forced out because of this. And Mars takes action on it.
Yeah. And again, Mars now will be in Pisces until April 9th. Mercury will still be in Pisces until April 14th. So, those dates are going to be important for the sort of clearing things up of this. And often a lunar eclipse, eclipses are often about external events happening. And they're often connected with endings, what's coming to an ending on a lunar eclipse. But also what I really like about this eclipse is the position of Jupiter. Jupiter's at 15 degrees Cancer. So Jupiter's right in the mix there. The planet of truth, the planet of justice, is making this really lovely connection to the eclipse. The Sun-Jupiter trines a couple of days after on the 5th. So, that is, it can play out in different ways, depending. It can be celebratory. There could be something good news on this. Or it could be that, there is a sense of justice. There is a thing, the right things happen on or around this eclipse. I find it a really interesting juxtaposition. And I just feel like that there could be some positive aspects coming out of this eclipse, what's brought to light.
Yeah, I agree. I never think eclipses are bad necessarily. Do you know what I mean? But especially ones when you have the support from Jupiter, which then turns direct on is it the 12th of March?
It turns 11th. It's on the 11th. It turns direct, Jupiter.
It turns direct, and so it starts to take action. And this is just in the sign of mothers and families, right? So that's where we're looking for the justice. And it's very emotional. So, there's a connection between Jupiter and the moon anyway at the moment, because Jupiter's in the sign of the moon, right? It's in the sign of the mother. And it's a total eclipse of the moon. And so we'll see what that turns out to mean. And one of the things that I suspect is that there's some kind of expectation that people will lose way or give up or whatever. But I think that actually this is a time for action, with Mars going into Pisces, and then Mars in April will hit that Aries point.
Mm.
You know, and Mars rules Aries. That's when a lot more action will come. So it's very lively, this eclipse, is what I would say. And then it's an enlivened couple of months ahead until, so you have Uranus as sort of Jupiter goes in, Mars goes into Aries in April, and then Uranus changes signs at the end of April. So we're all rushing towards that point.
Yeah, this is, I mean, and that Uranus moving into Gemini is the end point of this major astrology that's been taking place in 2025. And, that really is, we're sort of at the new beginning then. There's another new beginning. And I think each time the inner planets move into Aries, like the day of the equinox when the sun's at 0 degrees, that's going to be really important because it's going to be triggering this Saturn Neptune. So, there's these seeds, these opportunities for things coming into being or being born or being flourishing each time. Also, just to say that Venus at the eclipse is at 26 Pisces, but she moves into Aries on 6th of March. She'll be there till March 30th. And I love that because that brings, women. The Venus in Aries is, you could say, girl power, but it's a strong placing for Venus. It's said to be in its detriment, but I love Venus in Aries and Venus in Scorpio, my own placing. It's kind of that power. It's a reminder that, Venus is warrior woman. In a lot of myths, she was a warrior, she was a fighter. And Venus in Aries, that's going to bring strength of women forward as well. And that moves into Aries on the 6th. So again, we get that 0 Aries trigger. And then as the planets move into Aries, the inner planets are all going to come alongside Neptune and Saturn. So this Saturn-Neptune theme is going to be playing out throughout the heavens for a while. And, until Mars, I think Mercury is the last one to go in on April 14th. So we're seeing this throughout March and April as well.
Yeah. And do you want to take that thing, the chart down? I completely agree with you about Venus and Aries, and I just want to add to that, which is that you have to understand, folks, that astrology comes out of a patriarchal system, right? The astrology that we understand, what is written about it, right? So when they say, oh, this planet's in detriment, and this in particular, there's been a big push in the last 20 years of trying to get this patriarchal astrology to dominate again, okay? But when they say that Venus is in detriment in Aries, what they're really saying is that they're scared of strong women, okay? And that's why these things, that it feels like, oh, it's in detriment. It shouldn't be like that. Venus shouldn't be like that. Actually, why not? And the same goes for when Mars is supposedly in detriment. Why shouldn't that masculine energy be expressed in a different kind of way?
Yeah, and for example, Mars in, the Venus and Mars, they have strength in their opposite, the signs that they might match and mix and match with. That was really bad way of saying it. I'm going into Mercury retrograde. I can't get the words out. But anyway, Mars is in its detriment in Libra. But I often think of that as a fantastic placing for Mars because it's the peace warrior. Yep. Isn't that brilliant? It's not about war. It's let's fight for peace.
Yeah, it's
my peace warrior.
Oh, please. Exactly. It's being focused. And also, you often see that in lawyers' charts, the Mars in Libra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone who will argue another person into a corner. But so think of astrology, take yourself outside of the traditional views of what these planets mean, or consider the fact where astrology comes from. So a lot of astrology comes from Alexandria in the early ADs, right? In the 2nd and 3rd century AD. They're writing it down right? Well, what was that place like? That's where Hypatia was stoned to death for doing math, you know? So it's coming out of a very patriarchal system. But that doesn't mean that astrology itself has to be patriarchal. So take the patriarchy out of the astrology.
No, agreed. I mean, we often, it's a big theme for us, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And people need to, raise your consciousness about that. So when you're thinking, oh yeah, Jupiter and Gemini, it's this terrible, it's in detriment. Is it really? Why, why is that a useful thing to be told? That having too much, you shouldn't know too much. That's what it's saying. Jupiter and Gemini needs to have the knowledge, needs to have the information, right? It's about being informed, having Jupiter and Gemini.
Yeah, and again, one of the things I often say, a symbol doesn't mean just one thing.
Absolutely.
To find how it's going to work for you, find the strength in it, find the possibility in it. Yeah, gosh, we've got an exciting month coming up. I'm aware of time, Christina. So I'm going to put up the final new moon. Should we do that?
Please do. I was just going to say, while you're doing that Robert Hand once looked at my chart, and he's a very famous astrologer, and he's written great books, and he said, this stuff about planets in detriment, actually it often means that they are working really well. In fact, you'll find that so I have Mercury in Pisces, and I have Jupiter and Gemini. I have these planets in detriment. And he said, I have Mercury in Sagittarius, which is also in detriment. It just means that actually it can be working really well. So when you hear that word detriment, don't think that it means that it's bad, right? It may be that you have to work a little harder with that planet, but it actually means it's kind of special sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, Venus is a classic as well.
And just to say that, we are in this huge Mercury and Pisces phase at the moment, aren't we? It's, it's in Pisces for a couple of months because it's kind of like a pure retrograde. It stays in Pisces and doesn't move out. One of the things I'm going to be doing on this, and this often happens, is that I'm off on retreat in India, and it just happens to be this time while it's going to be Mercury retrograde. So how, and that's a wonderful way of kind of leaning into Mercury retrograde in Pisces, is actually literally turning inwards, doing meditation, kind of coming back to something which is like an inner voice. It doesn't need to be gab, 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 gab. It's kind of coming into, more of a theme of prayer or meditation, turning inwards, being silent, being quiet, and allowing kind of answers to come, allowing knowledge to come in, and then emerging out of that. So, Mercury and Pisces can take you deep into devotional prayer as well. And finding answers, listening to your inner voice as well. That's another way it can play out.
So what do we think about this new moon on the 19th of March? It's kind of slightly bookends this whole season that we've been talking about, where everything's in turmoil, which began at the beginning of February, really, then took us into this eclipse season, and then we're coming out of it now. And it does feel like quite a kind of quite a lot of stuff is sort of finishing off at this new moon. It's slightly bookendy.
It is. I mean, all the planets, if you're looking on YouTube, all the planets are kind of in one place, aren't they? They're all together. And the moon and sun at 28 Pisces, with Jupiter actually playing a very prominent role out on its own again. So Jupiter, Jupiter's such a strong planet this month. It really is. It's, it's kind of, it's giving support from elsewhere. But I think a really important new moon, the sun and moon next to Neptune in Aries, next to Saturn in Aries. And again, there could be something that comes to kind of resolution, or there's a great understanding maybe on this new moon. And it happens just the day before Mercury turns direct in Pisces, And then the equinox is the following day on the 20th. The new moon's on the 19th. So this period in this season is really, really pivotal. It's kind of like wrapping things up. There's some completion, there's resolution, almost there's enlightenment and awakening. I mean, the new moon's in a very close sextile to Uranus in Taurus. It's all the themes of the past year are kind of being brought forth in this new moon. It feels really powerful.
Yeah, and there's going to be action the day after. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
wow,
yes,
this is the new moon. And also, at a new moon, just take a beat, pause, because that's the dark of the moon. But then Mercury turns direct. Mars has hit where is approaching the sun. It's coming up to the point of the new moon. And by the way, Mercury is in very tight conjunction to the North Node, to the eclipse point, through retrograde. And it's like all the plumbing, again, all the stuff coming up. And I think it's going to feel very decisive. It's like people are going to it's like, that moment when the tide comes all the way back and then it rushes forward again. Yeah. And it does feel like there's a lot of waves of this coming along in this month, but this is quite a big wave. And the wave is about the wave into the future. We're rushing into the future. And it also, immediately. I was just going to say what's interesting, and also all these planets start to move into Aries, right? They're beginning to move into Aries. So the moon will, the day after that, or not even the day, a few hours after that new moon, the moon then makes the conjunction with Neptune and makes the conjunction with Saturn.
Yeah.
Make the conjunction with Venus. So the moon is having conversations, and this is mothers again, or women, or emotions, are having these conversations with these planets that are already in Aries. We're talking about what is the future. And I find it quite interesting that Chiron, which has been in Aries for 7 years now, I think, a long time, but will be leaving this year.
Yeah.
Is now, this whole stellium of planets is beginning to touch on Chiron, which is the planet of healing, right? It's the wound that will never be healed completely, that can be cleaned and washed and lived with. But it needs to be acknowledged, I guess. The wound that's acknowledged and purified.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be quite interesting, isn't it, when that happens? Also, just to say, really, I find it fascinating that, the Mercury is turning direct on the North Node. And at this eclipse today that we're talking on, the solar eclipse, there's such a kind of what's happening now at the start of Pisces season and then the end. Venus is on the North Node right now. So Venus is there, and then Mercury in a month's time is kind of like, right, let's bring this to light. Let's open things up. Let's communicate. There's this real kind of synchronicities going on throughout this month, I think, where the planets are really, really working together. And that's going to be also a big theme moving forward this year as the modern planets start working together. There's kind of connection, communication, collaboration going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have all been working together quite hard since the beginning of these planets. A lot of cooperation with this.
Yeah.
And this month, the month coming up, because of Jupiter being in Cancer at the beautiful angle to everything in Pisces, they're working together incredibly well. And this is all, it's not just in preparation because we're already there. It's like we're not, as someone was saying, we're not on the cliff edge. We've jumped off the cliff. Now we're floating. We're free floating. We're not waiting for the stuff to happen. It's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And we're in it. We're in this new thing. And that's really important to kind of start getting used to that in the coming month. And there's some stuff that we're finishing off with all this Pisces energy. There's various things that are finishing off, even though Saturn has moved into Aries. It's tying up loose ends, making connections between the different bits of information. And I love this Venus being on the first eclipse, the North Node, and then Mercury on the second. Because Venus in Pisces is, it's women, right? But it's women often as victims. Okay. That can be very Venus in Pisces. And again, it's back to this like Venus, Venus is exalted in Pisces, says traditional astrology. Really? Well, why is that? Right? Is that because you give everything up to the collective? Give up your love to the collective? It can be beautiful, Venus in Pisces, but it can also be very sacrificial.
Yeah, it can. Again, it's how it plays out. It can be unconditional love. So I mean, it can play out in a good way, but I agree, there's a sacrifice or a victim side to it as well. It's about learning the different ways the planets play out in the signs, isn't it?
And I always think of the Lamb of God, the Agnus Dei, when I think of Venus in Pisces, which is the sacrifice is made for the sins. It's the Agnus Dei, it's the lamb, the sacrifice on the cross, or the scapegoat, is what happens there. Is the sacrifice of love, right? For other people, for the future, right? And that happens at this eclipse, the one that we're having today. And then when Mercury retrograde comes and sits on that eclipse point, we're able to make more sense of it.
It's interesting, and it's just made me think of something, which is probably, there's a saying that, it is very much, Pisces is this sacrifice, isn't it? So we think of the cross, but there's a saying as well, get off your cross, we need the wood, which is kind of, it's all very well doing all the devotional and prayer, but we need to think about the practicalities too. And there's something in that as well, isn't there, moving from Pisces to Aries? We need a bit of action. We need to get practical as well.
And the action really, really quick kick in at this equinox. I think that's because every single planet is, when the sun comes to that Aries point, it's like, wow.
Yeah. So we'll be back next month. One more time. And we'll see how this quite incredible month has played out, because there's a lot going on. I'll be doing a bit of Om and Zen, somewhere hot. Yay. And we'll see you next month.
Okay, see you next month.
Take care. Bye.